Hi there, Dave here with a video about procedures, specifically about walking through the code so that we understand what code is executed when we have a procedure. So I'm going to use the project that we did in class, which is our square foot calculator, and I'm going to do the good module. So here we have the pseudocode at the top. We've got our input variables, our output variables, and we declare an integer answer. So our final answer is going to be an integer. And then we have, so the first executable instruction is this declaration. The rest of it is just information. So we're going to declare this answer, and then we declare a module. Well, we have to declare the module so that the rest of our code knows the module exists, but this code is never executed until the module is called. So this code is taken in, yeah, but it's not executed. So when we get down to here with our set, that will be the next line that will be executed after this line here. So let's go ahead and display our line numbers. And there we go. And let's go ahead and stop our code and walk through the code right at all of the code. So anyway, the next line that's going to be executed after line 4 is line 15. And then we would execute 16 and 17. But we can see down here when we actually look at the code that the only line I'm going to execute is 32. So we're going to walk through the code and look at how this is what's going to happen. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to enter a width of 3 and a length of 4. And so 4 times 3 is 12. And so ANS, answer, is going to be 12, and we're going to watch that happen. So we're going to start at the top and set ANS to 0. Alright, let's go ahead and run this thing. I've put my stop on that line, and I'm going to go ahead and debug the module 2, this guy here. And so it's going to bring up this guy here, and it's going to go to the first executable line, and it's indicating right now that it hasn't executed this line, but it's about to. So we're about to have a variable called ANS. So let's go ahead and execute that line, and we'll go ahead and step into. And when we step into, we now notice that we have this ANS down at the bottom here, and it's equal to 0. So we have our new variable. And so now we are about to execute this, which is the definition. What we're doing at this point is we're taking in get room area, and that's going to be a valid function, so it can be used in the code, and the rest of the code will be compiled, but it won't be actually executed until it's called. And so until we use get room area, all of this won't be used. But the compiler will go ahead and mark that get room area is a valid function, and it's going to do that right now. So the next line we execute will be line 32, because none of this will get executed until it's called. And sure enough, when we go ahead and execute the next line, if we step into my code, which is a good way to keep safe, it comes down to the next line of code, which is line 32. And line 32 is an assignment. And it is going to assign to the variable ANS that we defined earlier. It's going to assign to that label ANS the value of whatever happens on the right side. And what's going to happen on the right-hand side is that we're going to execute the procedure called get room area, and we're going to pass in the string living room. And so the next line that's going to be executed is in fact going to be line 24. And so when we stay in our code here, and we click the next line, then we go up to room length equals 0. So now we have room name is equal to living room. Yeah. Living room is a place in memory, right? Living room is a place in memory. It was created right here when I built this string right here. It became a place in memory. What is passed to get room area is the address of where the string living room is. Now inside of get room area, we're going to call that address of where the string living room lives, we're going to call it my room name. Now down here it didn't have a name. It just had a position, and then we're passing that address into this guy who's going to give it a name. And it's going to call it my room name, and there it is right there. And so and we were about to execute room length equals 0, which will set that up. So let's go ahead and set that one up. And let's go ahead and set up the width to 0. And then let's go ahead and execute the input. And so now we've executed the print statement. How can we tell? Well, if we look over here in the console, we can see the print statement. And so now let's go to the next line. And now it's waiting for me to input. That's what it's doing. It's just, see, there's nothing there. And so once I input 4, then it comes back and it says, oh, now I can go ahead and I can go to the next instruction because room length has been set. Notice that when I go back to my debugger, then now I do in fact have room length set to, look, it's a string 4. Of course, because all input comes in as a string. And now we're going to go ahead and do our print of this line. So we're going to execute that line. And it prints, and now it's about to input. So we click it, and now it's waiting, right? So we go over to the console, and we click, we say how much it is. It's waiting for us still. We said 3. And so now we go ahead and enter. And now it's done the input, so now we have room width set up. Yeah, when we go back to the debugger, we see room width is now set up to the strings of 3. So now we have a string room width and a string room width. And then it says return. Return after you make an int out of room length and after you made an int out of room width, go ahead and multiply the two together. Once again, return. We're going to do what we need to do before whatever is the address of whatever is done is passed back, right? That's what's passed back is the address of what is created by what's on in this statement. And so what this statement does is it takes the string room length, converts it into an int. It's on the left of the multiply. Then what's on the right side of the multiply, which is make the room width an int. And then multiply the two together and place that result into an address in memory and point what to it? Well, nothing. Just return it. Return that address to where it came from. Where did it come from? Let's click the next instruction. It came from, there's answer. It came from answer, right? So this whole thing got replaced with 12. Notice that it's showing you that this whole thing got executed now, and answer got set to 12, which means that the right side of that equal became 12. And so now it's done doing that. We got 12, and now it's about to print the final line, which says whatever. Let's go ahead and do the final line and take a look at it. Let's execute the final line here. Now it's done. Let's go over to our console, take a look at it. It says the square foot of your house is 12 square feet, and I'm all done. So this is how we can know what our code is doing, by walking through it and looking at the variables and watching them build. And we should know what it's going to do before it do what it does. Take care.